Welcome back to another episode of Gator Diamond Pod, the only podcast solely dedicated to Gator baseball. Joined by great co-host Adrian. Adrian, man, what a weekend! Gators
National
national
championship. National
championship.
championship weekend.
Let's look at the back right there. Let's view the back. What you got?
Check it out,
Oh,
man. Check it
ooh,
out.
that's nice. It's
That thing.
nice. The
Number three.
third 90 from the Gators. The last one since Billy Donovan, and it was only a great weekend to cap it off as Billy Donovan was inducted into the 2025 College Basketball Hall of Fame. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
think there was a reason that we shouldn't have won the national championship right in front of him, in front of his eyes. The way he built Florida's program to the T of excellence. The last time we won a basketball national championship, it followed the next year with a football national championship.
hmm
Maybe that's in store. Who knows? What do
Hey,
you think,
man.
Adrian? What do you think?
I was talking to Neil Schulman from in all kinds of weather, and I'm like, if we win it in football this year, and then we go back to back next year, right? Then you gotta get a shirt. We we win them in bunches with all of the trophies, man. That'd be pretty sweet. But let me tell you, man, you gotta celebrate these, man. Regardless, we do baseball here, but you saw that we live streamed from the celebration there at Flavet Field yesterday, so you gotta celebrate these regardless, man. These are tough to get, and as you could tell by social media, the opposing fan base just hates it when you get one of these, man. So that's always good. So you gotta celebrate these, man. So I'll be there Saturday, in the swamp, before the spring game. They're gonna have the celebration again. So we'll be there definitely. I'll shoot some videos from there. But what a game, man! What a run by these guys, man! Just an outstanding team, man. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts lately, basketball podcasts. Obviously, the Florida Basketball Hour, Neil and Fawcett, they do the great job that they do. National guys like Blake Lovell, Southeastern 16, and stuff like that. You know, they know basketball obviously way more than anyone of you or I do, but the way that they explained it, man, all the like analytical stuff pointed towards Houston winning that game. Houston shot 16 more field goal attempts. And we had talked about that last week, Chris, that was one of the keys, right? Because Houston turns you over so much. They offensively rebound the ball on you. They had seven more offensive rebounds. So they had 16 more shots on us, man. That was a big thing. Uh, they really should have taken that ball game. So, and there was probably a couple of those throughout the run, but that just showed what this team was made of, man. They were never out of it. And Chris, man, they never played their best game. They
Mm-mm.
never played their best game in the tournament. They had a half here in which they looked how they looked in the last month, and in the SEC tournament, they had a half there, maybe like the second half against Maryland and stuff like that. But they never put together a complete game, and yet they still cut the nets down. So unbelievable. We got us one in Todd Golden. It definitely looks like, man, only 39 years old. You don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. Life is crazy, but damn, Chris, he could go on a run, on a legendary run here at Florida.
It's only his
And
third year.
only his third, only 39, only in his
Yeah.
third year. So you gotta sign him up. Tie him down to University of Florida. Don't make sure he don't go nowhere. Uh, because he's one heck of a coach, man. National championship in year three. Get out of here, dude. That's bonkers, brother.
Yeah, I heard a reporter talking about that Florida was never tested too much in the in the regular season and in the C tournament, and it came down four of the last six games they trailed. I think it was against UConn, Texas Tech, John Houston. Who else? There was one other game that we were trailing. They come
Auburn,
back and won. Auburn
the
too.
Auburn game.
Auburn
Yeah,
game
the
we were
Auburn
down
game.
8.5. Came back and won.
Nuts, man. It's crazy. It's like when they were down 9, 10 double-digit points, it's like, yeah, Gators got you right where they want you, man. This is when they start their run. That's nuts, man. But listen, but this championship, even though there are a bunch of haters out there, we got to give credit to the SEC because, Florida running through that gauntlet of the SEC is the only reason why you're able to, win these games in the tournament. Look at Duke. That's what people kept saying after that Duke collapsed to the same Houston Cougars. People kept saying that the ACC was super soft, man, Charmin soft, and that Duke was never tested at all. So when they got into that, dogfight with Houston, they crumbled. They absolutely crumbled. Florida didn't turn the ball over for all the stuff that we had talked about and all the turnovers that Florida had been having. They didn't, Houston didn't turn them over in like the last 9 minutes of that ball game. All right, so think about that for a second, man.
And
Think
they had
about what they did to
4.
Duke. Think about what they did to Duke. Just think back to that Duke game, how Duke looked like a YMCA Sunday crew out there, man. A bunch of guys with beer bellies out there playing basketball. The way that Houston was turning them over, all right? And Florida did not turn over not one time in 9 minutes of that ball game Saturday. So, Monday. So, unbelievable, man. Hats off to the guys, dude.
Yeah, it's
Hats off.
always they always turn the ball over a lot in the first half, and then that halftime adjustment. Todd Golden just knows what to say, what to do in the halftime, and they always come out in the second half not many turnovers. And they had 4 turnovers in the second half total. Houston had 4 just themselves in the last, I think, minute 30 seconds left in the game.
Like I said, I listened to a lot of these podcasts, so I don't know where I heard it. So it didn't come from me. I didn't research this. So it was either the Florida Basketball Hour guys or one of the other podcasts. But Florida was number 2 in the nation in point differential after halftime. So that's all
Mm.
Todd Golden, man. That's all Todd Golden. So that's what I'm saying, Chris. I think we got us one. And it doesn't take a genius to figure that one out, man. We got us one, brother. So sign them up to those long, long, long term contracts because man, you don't want to predict stuff like this but man, there could be multiples in store, dude. There could be multiples, man. So we're here for it.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, the celebration was at Florida Field. Let's just gear on down the block, the Conjuring Ballpark last night. Gators, Florida, Gainesville is riding a high. Bring in the rival Florida State. Series 1-1. And what's Florida do? What they do best, even in a bad year they're having. They take the series 2 out of 3 against FSU, winning 5-4 yesterday. Jackson Barber, he's looking like a really good midweek starter for us. He came in 3 innings, 5 hits, only 1 earned, 4 strikeouts, had every pitch working. We've been looking for that from pitchers from Florida. Being able to use your secondaries for strikes, not just the fastball, not just the curveball, being able to use every pitch. And I thought one of the best pitches was his strikeout on the outside corner with that changeup. And again, I can't remember who was against Max Williams, maybe, and
Hmm.
really being able to get out of the inning for that. Heyman obviously he's on a tear right now. Lawson had a 3-run homer to give the Gators the lead 5-3 or 5-2, and the Gators didn't look back from there. McDonald, Brian Miller, McNeely, and Clemente out of the pen. McNeely gave you 2 innings, 3 strikeouts. Clemente is just looking strong every time he comes out of the pen. Maybe if he hits that 4 inning mark out of the pen, it's a little shaky with him, but just give him 2 to 3 innings and he's lights out.
Yeah. Yeah. A great crowd on a Tuesday, the day after late night for a lot for everybody, right? Because everybody, I didn't go to sleep on Monday night, Chris, here till probably about 2 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it took a while to come down from that. You kept wanting to watch all of the ESPNs, the SEC networks talking about your Gators and stuff like that. So I'm sure everybody was in the same boat. So, but it was still a good crowd. Um, I'll tell you, Chris, I was a little concerned that some of the fellas might have been out on University Avenue. You see
Oh,
some of those
so
pictures
I yeah. I
late,
mean,
late into the night.
you see the guy on the traffic light
Yeah.
that fell off. Like, did you see the video? The one video coming to
Yeah.
like he was like it was like he just hit the ground so hard. Like, how do you?
Mm.
Like, what are you thinking up there? I mean, that's a lot of beers deep right there.
Thank God he's 22 years old, man. He'll bounce right from that with no problem, man. But yeah, but But anyways, FSU fans showed up. A lot of fans out there for Florida State, so it was a pretty good crowd. So they were hoping to stick it to us there and take the season series, like you said. But Barbary had his best start, man. He had his best start, best appearance that he's had as a Gator. You could just see a lot of the talent in some of these freshmen, man. There's moments where, and pretty much just all of them, man. There's moments where, man, you can see the talent. You can see why they were recruited, obviously, to the University of Florida, and it's just a matter of developing that consistency, right? But Barbary looked as good as he's looked, man. He was Chris. He was steady 95, topped off
96.
96. That's
Hmm.
the most I've seen him. He's always been like 92, 93, you know, once in a blue moon, like maybe his first pitch and nowhere near the strike zone probably would be like 95, right? But he was steady 95, 96. And like you said, that secondary pitch, the changeup was a massive, massive differentiator for him last night. Um, he looked lights out. Then Clemente comes in at the end of the ball game. I'm just going to jump right to him because he looked as good as he's looked. And Sully mentioned it in his post-game comments. That's the best that Jake's looked since probably he's been at Florida for sure this season. Um, he was gassing people, man. He was throwing really hard, man. He was steady 96. He topped off at 97 even a couple of times. And he was just blowing strikes by people, man. He was just like I said, just gassing these hitters, man. They weren't keeping up. He had four strikeouts, right?
Hmm.
Four in those 2 innings pitched. Sully was happy with Luke's appearance. Luke's outing. McNeely. Even the stat sheets might have, shown, high walks and stuff like that, but he was happy with the way that he threw the ball. So, and I have a lot of confidence in McNeely. So, he looked fine out there for me also. And they all got the job done. And then the hitting star was, like you said, Brendan Lawson, the true freshman from Canada, obviously. Um, the big thing about last night, Chris, which we're gonna parlay when we talk about Vanderbilt series, is
Don't do
that
it.
last night, yeah, well, last night we finally had some things break for us, right? Sometimes you hope it doesn't take that long, but hopefully this is the beginning of, certain things breaking for you. We had three double play balls, Chris.
Hmm.
That went a long way early in that ball game. I think we had three double play balls in the first 5 or 6 innings. Uh,
Hmm.
that kept us in that ball game
I think
early
the
on, Chris.
second, fourth, and fifth, I want to say.
Yeah, yeah, that kept us in that ball game early on, man. Florida State could have had some crooked number innings there. Uh, and they didn't. So that happened. Secondly, the two times that we scored runs, right? We scored runs 3 times. The first time was a little infield roller by Luke Heyman, scored a run from third. But then the second time that we scored runs was with 2 outs.
Oh.
Uh, Heyman starts it with a double, right?
Hmm.
And then Lawson brings him in with another double. So back-to-back doubles with 2 outs. And then the 3-run inning in the fifth inning, that was in the third inning. Then in the fifth inning, you know, again, it was a 2-run rally. Shelton starts it off with a base hit. Heyman gets a walk, and then Brendan Lawson hits the 3-run homer to basically call ball game. Um, and that was all started with 2 outs. Florida hasn't really been doing that, Chris. Ever since SEC play started, they just haven't been doing that, you know, at all, basically. I mean, I'm sure it's happened once or twice out there, but it's been few and far between, man. So hopefully that gets going. Stuff like that starts happening for them, and they could build a little more momentum. And we'll talk about it a little bit later. But what this series does, taking 2 out of 3 from Florida State, what it does is that at least it opens up the door to, if you have 12 SEC wins, possibly making it into the tournament a lot easier. You need Florida State to keep winning, though. Florida State came
Hmm.
off a bad weekend in which they got blown out by Wake Forest. They lost 2 out of 3. a couple of run rule games. And then this happened to them yesterday. Uh, but from here moving forward, you kind of got to root for Florida State a little bit. You need them to stay top 10, get into that top five, maybe be a be a top eight seed. You need them to be that so that, that 2 out of 3 that Florida took for them resonates a little bit more. Uh, can the Gators even get to 12 SEC wins?
The
We
tough
keep
one.
saying, we keep saying, right, Chris? Starts this week. It starts
It
this
starts this week.
weekend. Starts this weekend. It started last weekend and we got swept. Uh, so is there a path? Sure. Until there's less than what, 10 SEC ball games left, right? And you can't be
What's
able to
the
go on a
what's the count that it's the postseason counter where they clinch the series or the division. That's pretty much what Florida's on right now, just to be able to make the
Hmm.
tournament. There's
Yeah, I
what
mean, no, yeah.
we need 10, we need 12, 11 wins right now,
11 more
11, 12
wins. Yeah, you have to
in
scratch out
SEC.
11 more wins in the SEC. So basically Florida's postseason already started, basically. Already started. So they are already in a basically regional right now. So they need to just start winning ball games if they want to hear their name called on Memorial Day Monday. So, but that's Florida State, man. It was good to beat them. Their fans thought that they were going to celebrate a little bit there the day after we got our natty up here in basketball. And at least the boys stood up, came and showed up and took that series from 'em, Chris.
Yeah, last two things. Staff had 12 strikeouts, but still had 7 walks. Still got to improve. Still got to win. The last thing, we always talk about star players on teams. Don't let their star players beat you. Last time in Jacksonville, it was Alex Lodis. He hit for the cycle. He hit the grand slam in the ninth inning. What does he do this game? 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts.
Yeah.
We're able to key in on scouting report and be able to make sure he can't beat you this time again.
Yeah. And he came up to bat in a couple of big moments, man. He came up to bat in a couple big RBI spots. So yeah, that went a long way, man. That and those double play balls went a long way for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, we'll jump right into the Vandy series. Friday, you get Liam to go Friday, hoping for your best stuff out of your ace. It doesn't give it to you. Florida's a team walked 10 batters. 5 of them came from him in 5 and 1/3 innings. 5 hits, 3 earned, 6 strikeouts. But the Gators were still in the game though. It's 3-0 for a while, but Florida just could not find a big hit, and they let their star player beat you. Too many times you let Austin be able to have players on second where you have a chance. Hey, walk him if you're gonna need to. Let somebody else challenge somebody else other than RJ Austin. RJ Austin just loves tearing the Gators up in his time at Vandy so far. But Friday, there's not too much, and Vandy won 6-0. 10 walks, 15 strikeouts as a staff. Just got to cut the strikeouts down or the walks down.
Walks.
Right.
Man, listen. And we talked about Austin last
We talk
weekend.
about them.
Last week. We talked about Austin. We talked about him having a disappointing start to the season, how his power numbers were down, how how he was still hitting 3 hole because Vandy's a light hitting ball club. We talked about all that. And darn it, Chris, it bit us in the butt again, man. Um, but it didn't bit us as much as the base on balls, man. Let's just get right to it, right? Liam, right? He was looking good. He was looking good. And then he issues a 2-out walk. He issues a 2-out walk. Um, and then Austin comes up, next hitter after the 2-out walk, and he hits the ball to deep left center. And Yost is there, Chris. It was a running catch. Actually, Yost was already slowing down. He had gotten there pretty much. It was not like a running catch, go headlong into the fence. No, he had already gotten there and had already started to decelerate. The ball just hits him in the heel of the glove and pops out. And that scores the first run of the ball game, right? So a 2-out walk, and basically, was that scored a base hit? Yeah, right.
The
That was scored
triple.
a, a clean triple, right? So a ball that should have been caught. And we had talked about this in previous podcasts, how, certain plays that our defense is still ranked number 4 in the SEC as far as fielding percentage. And that's great. That's good. But plays like that, they just don't make. And it's
It
been
looked a
that way
little
all year.
tougher. You're at the game, so you can see a little bit better. But on screen, it looked tougher than that. It looked like he was full head of steam, and he just fell right
Yeah.
where the ball is. So from our point of view, it kind of looked like it was a tough play for him. But you probably have a little bit
Uh,
better view than us.
Gotta make it. You gotta make that play. You gotta make
Mm.
that play, man. But then we go then to the next time that Vandy scores, right?
Who
Lead off
was it?
walk. Lead off walk. But first it starts with a lead off walk
To the eight
during
hole.
the inning. Yep. Lead off walk. And then Liam's able to work around that lead off walk a little bit, get 2 outs. All right. He's got 2 outs. And then Austin comes up to the plate again. Boom. Hits a double. Then there's a wild pitch, and then Austin scores then on a base hit with 2 outs. So they start a little 2-out rally after a leadoff walk, and now they went up on you 3-0. And that was pretty much ball game because we didn't score, Chris. We didn't score. And Sully commented post game how his name's JD Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
JD, how
Mm-hmm.
JD Thompson
Wasn't his
didn't
best.
even have his best stuff. He didn't have his best stuff for this game because my seats are usually behind the visitors' dugout, about 9 rows up. But for this game, I was sitting behind home plate, about 7 rows up, just a little bit off to the right. Um, and his stuff looked pretty hittable, Chris. I mean, his stuff did not look like nothing outstanding at all. Uh, lot of what our hitters have had a problem with this entire season, really, but for the first couple of weeks when we were feasting on what apparently was some really bad teams. But what our hitters have had issues with is even when they get into hitters count, Chris, they're missing pitches, man. They're missing just hittable pitches. And any hitting coach will tell you, any head coach will tell you, in the major leagues, in the minor leagues, and in college, that when you're a hitter, hitting's tough, man. Hitting is hard. It's not easy. But when you get the pitch to hit, you gotta take advantage of it. That's what differentiates good players from mediocre players, good players from great players, you know, college players from big league players. That's what differentiates it, right? When you get that pitch, pitchers aren't going to be perfect. They're going to make a mistake on you, usually once every at bat. And when you get that pitch, you gotta take advantage of it. And more often than not, we don't. We just don't. We foul it off. Sometimes we inexplicably take a pitch that's right down the middle. But so many, nice juicy 2-1 fastballs, 3-1 fastballs, 2-1 hanging sliders. So many cookies like that we just foul off that 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 has been an issue the entire season, man. And that was a problem on Friday and you got shut out. First shutout since when, Chris? Sully mentioned it. Long time that we have been shut out. No?
We got shut out against Texas A&M last game of the season last year.
Okay. Was that at home though? Yeah, right? Yeah.
No,
It was at
I
home,
mean,
no?
no, wait, are you talking about this year? Have we been shut out?
In general, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we got shut out against Tennessee.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess it hasn't been that long.
Yeah, but and then because I remember talking about that on the other podcast that because before that, the Texas A&M last game of the year in Omaha, we got shut out, and before that, it was 144 games both sent like streak
There you
of not
go.
being
Okay.
shut out.
Cool.
So maybe we haven't been shut out at Condren in a while.
I think it was
So
something like that. Yeah. Something like that. Whatever.
if
But
it probably
you
wasn't
got
even
shut out, man.
Condren, it probably wasn't even Condren at that time. the last time we got swept, shut out of Florida.
Yeah, because Sully mentioned it in the post game. I just can't recall, and I guess it was at home. Being shut out at home had been a while, I think. So, but
How about
anyways,
this?
man.
How about this though? Miller Green comes in and comes in for one out, strikes out Shelton on three disgusting sliders, picks up the win. He picks
Mm,
up the win, and then how about a 4 inning save from Sawyer Hawks?
mm,
You don't see
yeah.
that many. You don't see that often. A four inning save. Keep saying
No.
4 out. Yeah, 4 inning save.
Well, why take him out, man? The way that Corbin was looking at it, they're not doing nothing off him. Let me just keep him in there, get that Friday win, and not burn anybody else in the bullpen. You know,
Right.
we never really got nothing started. Nothing
Nothing.
started, man. No leadoff walks, nothing. We never. Pretty much, it was you got shut out and you went pretty quietly, man. Disappointing, obviously, for a Friday night game. It was a good crowd. You needed to get off to that good start with your ace on the mound. You got to start racking up some SEC wins, and they end up getting shut out. Very, very disappointing. Sully was very disappointed, obviously, post game.
Yeah. Let's move into Saturday. Saturday, a little bit different. Florida had 9 hits. Vandy only had five. Vandy obviously won this game 3-2. Aiden King gave you 5 innings of 2 run ball, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Walks were down this game. You had only 3 walks. Florida gave up seven strikeouts as a staff. But hitters counts, the Vastine home run, 2-0 count, and then in a 1-2 count, Mancini doubles, which it was we shouldn't be throwing a fastball down the middle like we did, and he takes it. I thought he was gonna hit it out of center. I thought he was gonna hit it out,
Hmm.
but only a double. 2-0 at that point. Nadu gives you a single to the left side in the fifth inning. 2-1 game. Heyman seventh gave singles a game, ties the game up, and then what goes on? All season long, something has to unravel, something has to go wrong. After the RBI single, Bozier decides to himself, let's go third on that play and gets thrown out for I think at that point it would have been first and second, 1 out. Ended up being first and second or first on first, 2 outs. So that literally limits a lot of time that Florida could have scored another run. And then Barlow comes in, gets you 2 out. I think he gives you 2 outs. Yeah, he gave you 2 outs and then gives up Oppo home run to right field that pretty much blew Florida's opportunity to tie the series up with that.
Yeah, frustrating, man. Frustrating game. Uh, Aiden King looked pretty good, right? Aiden King looked pretty good. Obviously, they only scored. What did Aiden give up again? A couple
Five
runs?
innings, yep, five
Five
innings, two
innings too.
runs.
And then again, Vastine. We talked about him last week. Light hitting shortstop. Damn, I gotta stop saying these things, man. But a
I
light
told
hitting
you,
shortstop. His numbers were. Well, I have them right here, honed up from last week. You know, Vastine, his numbers were 253 with 4 home runs. 20 RBIs coming into the series, and he takes King out to deep left center field, right? Almost
mm,
straight, almost straight away center. And then the killer was in the ninth inning. Obviously, the Barcy opposite field homer. Barcy came into the ball game. I think I heard on the television he came into the ball game something like four for his last 40 something, some crazy stat like that. He was struggling mightily, and he takes you deep. He takes you deep to pretty much call ball game on what's our closer now, right? Billy Barlow is our closer now. So
maybe
when
after
you
last night it was Clemente.
maybe who who knows,
But
man.
who?
Who knows? Every time, I mean, I think Sully is at the point right now where if one guy has
Still
done
here.
something right, you know. I think Sully is at the point right now where he doesn't want to move it, right? If Jake is doing good right now in the middle, keep him there. Okay, don't move him now to close because that might mess him up. It's happened too much already to Sully, so I think he might just keep Jake exactly where he's at, man. Keep him in middle relief, get a couple of innings out of him twice every weekend, right? You'll be able to get 2 innings out of him in the middle of a ball game, and let's go from there, right? But when you start talking about things that have gone wrong this season, right? So many things have gone wrong this season. And that's one of them, right? When Florida got Billy Bartle out of the transfer portal, nothing against Billy Barlow, but we talked about it here and we were talking about what? Hey, man, probably a good midweek starter, right? Maybe we got the midweek starter there. Um, if there's no true freshman that takes a hold of that, maybe midweek starter, maybe middle relief in the weekend. And now he's your closer, your SEC weekend closer, basically, right? So base running, another issue, just continues to be a problem, right? Base running, a lot of base running mistakes done by this ball club. And those types of little things. Look, Chris, baseball's hard, man. Baseball's hard to begin with. It's a cruel sport. It's a very cruel sport. And then when you play dumb on top of that, you make life real difficult on
Hmm.
yourself. And and that's what's been going on a lot this year. We play some dumb baseball. We play some dumb baseball. And guys make a lot of mental mistakes, man. So it makes life a lot difficult, man. And then you end up losing ball games. You end up losing ball games, especially in this conference where for the most part, you know, teams play pretty good ball, man, pretty tight baseball. So you make life difficult, man. And you lose 3-2. Scored only 2 runs through 18 innings against Vandy. Now their pitching came in good, right? Their pitching came in ranked high, but did you see anything out there that looked like these were you know, Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter out there, dude? I
No.
did it. I did it. Not for 2 runs in 18 innings. So, and then
We
Sunday comes
only
around.
Sunday. I mean, 5 runs in 27 innings. Nothing
By the way,
better.
first of all, we had talked about we really needed 2 out of 3 in this series, right? We had talked
Yeah.
about it. So now Sunday comes around and you're trying to save one game at home to not go 1-11. And then Sunday, go ahead, man.
Yeah, Sunday wasn't any better. It was the icing on the cake for Vandy to get you a 11-3 sweep over Florida. They put up 5 in the last inning to make it 6-3, and they made it 11-3 with that. Alex Philpott's his third straight start on Sunday, so it looks like we're gonna ride with him on that Sunday roll. McDonald comes in, gives you 3 innings as well, 1 hit, 0 earned, 0 walks, 2 strikeouts. This is just a frustrating thing, it's growing pains for freshmen. But Caden McDonald looks so good here on Sunday, and then he walks, I think, 4 batters last night. You know,
Hmm.
I mean, he walked what 3 or 4 batters last night in only 1 inning.
Yeah, he looked the worst yesterday than he's looked, I think, pretty much all season, man. I was actually watching the game with Neil Schulman last night because he was here for the celebration and as well as for the FSU game. And I was like, damn, Caden McDonald was one guy who, had strung together some pretty good appearances consecutively. So maybe he just, had this one bad one in him, but you really need him to get back into form because he had been doing good. He had been doing really good. And yesterday he just could not find the strike zone. Wasn't even close, Chris. Wasn't even close. So yeah, you need him to get back to it, man.
Yeah, then Barlow also comes in, 2 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts.
Hmm.
Just hasn't given you anything of what you wanted to get out of a portal player for Florida. Shelton and Bozier went back to back though. Was able to get the game 4-3 game, keep it close, 5-3 Man City double a ground double play. Rigdon scored on a balk, and then in the ninth inning, they scored for 5 runs with 2 homers. Rigdon and Nelson both homered, and pretty much
Hmm,
that was ball game for you right there.
yeah. Hey, which was the game? Because we didn't talk about it. Which was the game that Sully got thrown out in?
Say that again.
Which was the game that Sully got thrown out in? Was it Saturday?
Saturday, Saturday, the
Saturday's game.
3-2 game.
Yeah, he was gonna
Because
get thrown out no matter what.
Tim
He
Walton
was.
got thrown out too.
Yeah, but that was for a different reason.
Yeah.
Sully was getting thrown out of that game probably no matter what. He probably determined he was gonna get thrown out early, see if that could spark the team. It didn't, but I could see that coming. But the reason why I even brought that up was because Sunday's game, you could see how the frustrations are just mounting on this team, dude. They really needed yesterday's win. Hopefully they could reset now moving into Thursday. And fortunately, the opponent on Thursday is the worst in the SEC, and we'll talk about that now a little bit later. But hopefully, they could get some good momentum because you could tell that on Sunday, all the negative momentum had just come to an apex, man, and they were frustrated so much. There were issues with the umpire at home plate throughout the entire ball game. The pitch clock thing was a problem with not only our hitters but also our pitchers, and we kept getting the short end of the stick on that. We were the ones who were getting frustrated the most on that. It looked like it culminated a couple times with Brendan Lawson stepping out of the box a couple times with the pitcher in mid delivery. The rule is, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong here, right? But the rule with the pitch clock is at the 10-second mark, the batter has to present himself to the pitcher. Okay?
hmm
Meaning your face has to be looking at the pitcher. You can't
Yeah,
be
it's
looking
I
down.
yeah.
You can't be, hitting your spikes, arranging your bat, your gloves. You got to be in the box, obviously. Your face facing the pitcher at the 10-second mark. Right? Am I
And
right there?
it's the 8 second mark or the 10 second mark. I'm not.
Okay.
I have to look at that,
And
but
and then at that moment, the pitcher could deliver at any time. Now, some pitchers have been smart to this and they freeze you, right? Especially if you get into the box early, right? And you face the pitcher early, like at the 15-second mark, some pitchers will get on the mound because I've seen it and they'll just stand there and wait. Because remember, the fans see the clock in center field, but I believe some stadiums have two clocks behind the batter.
mhm.
Okay. So the pitcher sees the clock. The batter sees the clock also because it's like by the batter's box, excuse me, by the on deck circle. So they all could see the pitch clock. So you'll see some pitchers just standing on the mound. They're looking at the pitch clock by the on deck circle, and they don't start their delivery till about 2, 3 seconds. By that time, you've been in your stance, frozen there for like sometimes 10, 15, 16 seconds. Um, but Brendan Lawson was getting into the box, and literally as soon as he would turn his head, the pitcher was delivering. So he was kind of yapping at the home plate umpire and stuff like that. And then it culminates in the pitcher with Billy Barlow for us, right? Billy Barlow balks. The reason Billy Barlow balks is because he started and stopped his windup. Okay, he was looking, I believe it was RJ Austin hitting. I may be wrong though. But the batter, I believe that it was Austin, yeah. Um, Billy Barlow thought he had presented himself to him, turned his head to him, and Billy Barlow quickly was starting his delivery when the batter actually put his head down. So Barlow stopped it, and that was a balk and a run scored. I think it made it 5-3, 6-3, something like that. But Sully, Geralman, they were yapping at the umpire the whole game about the pitch clock thing. It really got into their heads and it got into a couple of our hitters' heads. It got into a couple of our pitchers' heads. And I just think it was a culmination of all the frustrations, man.
Mhm.
Uh, so that was unfortunate. Hopefully they got past that. I didn't think that I don't think the home plate umpire handled it very good. You'll see some home plate umpires, Chris, that they'll put their hand out when the
Yeah.
pitcher that they've noticed that the pitcher is trying to quick pitch the hitter, like literally as soon as the hitter goes like this, the pitcher's already like in mid windup, right? And we did that last year. We did that last year from the pitching side of it a couple times, and we were called on it by the umpires. But you'll see some umpires put their hand out to the pitcher and then go like that, go,
Hmm.
um, to stop that. So this umpire did not have control of that. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. But that that that's how these rules are with this pitch clock stuff. Uh, But that game got out of hand quick, Chris. That game got out of hand fast. It was a 4-3 ball game going into the seventh inning, man.
Yeah.
4-3 ball game going into the seventh inning. And what did it end? 11-3?
Yep.
11-3. So that game got out of hand fast. It was anybody's ball game there. And the Gators just couldn't get it. Couldn't get the victory. Again, I mean, we could talk about this all day. It's been like this all SEC since the SEC started. But Philpott opened, but again, the second inning, he starts off the inning by a hit by pitch. You know, hit by pitch, and guess what, Chris? That guy comes around to score. Okay, he scores on a Vastine hit with 2 outs. All right, and that made it 1-0. And then in the fourth inning, the inning starts with a base hit, but then a walk and a hit by pitch. Bases loaded, no outs. Vandy gets all three of those guys in with a base hit and 2 sacrifice flies. That's what Vandy does. And when they play Florida, they always find a way to get some home runs there also too, even though they come in barely hitting any. But that's what Vandy does. You give them free passes and stuff like that, they're gonna bring them around. They're gonna butt them over. They're gonna move them over. They're gonna sacrifice fly them in. That's what they do, man. So when you're
Hmm.
not going good, that's what happens. And when you're not going good, Chris, you know what also happens? It seems like every home run you hit is what? A solo shot. And we had 2 solo home runs in that ball game also. And we've had a bunch of solo shots this year. I'm sure that we could research that. Maybe we'll research it for next week. But we've hit a whole bunch of solo shots, man. And when you're going bad, it looks like every home run you hit's a solo shot. When you're going good, there's always 2 on base.
Hmm.
So like it was yesterday. That's why
Yep.
yesterday, let's see, man. Maybe yesterday was the beginning of the turn. Is it too late? I don't know. We'll see. Definitely starts this week though with a sweep, man. So you got anything else on game three, Vandy?
No, just just a weekend we needed a series and it turned bad. Swept. That's it. Nothing more to add. Nothing more to add to that.
More to add to that
Now,
one, man.
now we got swept this past weekend, but we need a sweep this weekend. Starts on Thursday this week. We play Missouri. Missouri comes in 12 and 20, 1 and 7 on the road, 0 and 12 in the SEC. They can't get their first SEC win this weekend. We'll get it started. So with them, as you know, they're 12 and 20. They're 0 and 12 in the SEC. So nothing's probably going too right for them, and that's on their pitching staff as well. I'm gonna highlight 3 arms they have. They can they have pitched at different spots this year. Ian Los has been their Friday guy at some point this year. Few starts here and there, but he is probably one of the most starts. Fastball at 90, 93, can touch 94. Curveball 76, 79. Changeup low to mid 80s. Haddon Drew. Haddon has their most starts on or his second most starts on the team. He's their only pitcher that's actually positive winning percentage. He's 3-1 with a 5.62 ERA. 32 innings, 38 hits, 20 earned, 13 walks, 24 strikeouts. Fastball 90-93, curveball 76 to 80. His fastball can touch up to 95, and he also has a good changeup as well. And then the last one I'll highlight is Caden Jacoby, 9.93 ERA, 2-4. He's got 10 starts or 10 appearances, 3 starts, 29 innings, 39 hits, 35 earned runs, 14 walks, 33 strikeouts. He can work 92, 94, tops at 96, but only if he goes about 2, 3 innings, we'll say. Can also have a good slider at 83 to 86. Other than that, they don't have too much command on their pitching. 8.83 ERA total. They give up. That's what I got
Hmm.
on their pitching.
Their their
Not,
pitching their pitching sucks, Chris.
yeah,
It's
it's bad.
freaking awful.
I
You know
mean,
what were the
this,
scores of the Arkansas series?
yeah, they got run.
20, 21 to 3, 14 to 4, 16 to 2. Arkansas put a pounding on this team, man. All right. Damn. They're they're bad. They're not SEC quality pitching staff. Okay? So you better treat them like that, dude. You better treat them like that. Right now, Chris, I feel really good about Brendan Lawson, obviously Luke Heyman, and Kobe Shelton. I feel really good about those three guys, man. But you need more than that, probably, dude. You need more than that.
Here we
Uh,
go. Okay, all right. Like I said, I'm sorry to interrupt you,
no, go ahead.
but they have their pitching. Their pitching staff just came out. It's gonna be great. See, they even go with a different person that they haven't even started before. Brady Hellenbrink. I'll get his stats in a second. They're gonna go Caden Jacoby on Friday, and then TBD on Saturday. Florida's gonna go Liam Peterson, and then Aiden King on Friday. Friday's game is at 5:30. Is that, or it might be that might be Central Time when I'm looking at Mizzou stuff right now.
Yeah, that's Central Time. It's gonna
Okay.
be a 6:30 game. Um, while you're looking up the Thursday starter, uh, we'll just go over some of the hitting stuff. Missouri as a team is hitting 284 with 36 home runs. They got 301 strikeouts as a team hitting. Okay. By comparison, Florida's hitting 296. Okay. So we're not even a 300 hitting ball club no more. 53 home runs. So we got them by quite a bit in home runs, 36 to 53. And we've struck it out 271 times, which feels like a lot. But Missouri has struck it out, like I said, 301. Missouri's best player on the team, n not only as a position player, but on the team is Jackson Lovich. He's been there 3 years. He's a junior.
That sounds
Shortstop.
familiar.
Yeah, yeah, he's been there. He's been one of their steady players for a couple years now. Right-handed hitter, shortstop. He's hitting 368 with 7 home runs, 33 RBIs, hitting over 1,000 OPS. He's their leader in average home runs and RBIs. He's their team leader. He got hurt. The midweek game. It looks like the midweek game before Arkansas this past weekend. He didn't play at all in the Arkansas series. He didn't play in the midweek game that they had this past week. Um, what's his status? I have no idea. It's hard enough to get injury information from our team, much less Missouri's team.
Hmm.
So is he going to play? He didn't play against Arkansas. For all I know, he'll show up Thursday and hit 5 home runs this weekend. Okay, so if he doesn't play, then obviously it's a huge break for the Gators. He's their best hitter. He's their best player. Uh, the guy who replaced him in the lineup and at shortstop, guess how many errors he committed on the midweek game, Chris? That they had 8 errors as a team, right?
Yep.
The guy who replaced him had 4 as shortstop. Keegan Kutson, I believe is the kid's name. Replaced Lovich as shortstop, had 4 errors midweek game, probably Tuesday. So that's Jackson Lovich. Does he play or not? I have no idea. We'll find out Thursday. Uh, their other probably top hitter is Caden Pierre. He's a sophomore center fielder, left-handed hitter, hitting 301 with 3 home runs, 20 RBIs, leads the team with 10 stolen bases, leads the team with drawing 15 base on balls. Okay, so there's a guy that, you know, he's probably going to get walked this weekend. Okay. He's probably going to have a couple, two or three, four walks, and he's going to get on base. He looks to be a speedster, and he's going to probably steal a base or two or attempt anyways. Luke Heyman, by the way, is gunning people out, is gunning people down this year, man. He looks
Mhm.
really good throwing from back there. So Caden Pierre usually hits second in the lineup. Second leadoff when Lovich was playing. Um, Pierre was hitting leadoff, Lovich was hitting second, so now he might be hitting more second. So we'll see. But that's Caden Pierre, center fielder. And then the last guy that I'll go ahead and highlight real quick. Offensive numbers are pretty low here, guys, but Mateo Cerna, a sophomore catcher, he's a switch hitter, hitting 242, 6 home runs, 30 RBIs, 774 OPS. Um, he hits usually cleanup, fifth in the lineup, light hitting ball club. Again, just like Vandy was, m probably much worse than Vandy is as far as the talent level. Missouri's defense is last in the SEC, Chris. 958 fielding percentage. By comparison, Florida, like I said earlier, we are still fourth with a 981 fielding percentage. Okay. So they can't pitch it very well, at all. They can't field it very well, and they don't hit very well. That's why you're 0-12. Florida's 1-11. So we're right there with them, Chris, unfortunately, man.
This team looks like it can be so much better than just times it just looks, just don't know. Also one more I was going to give you on Caden Pierre because I seen this the other day. He also leads the team in hit by pitches.
Mm. So you could chalk it down, man. He'll have one or two free passes every game for sure. For sure. Okay? For sure.
Um, but yeah, all right. So for what was it for Brady Kellenbrink? He's a 6-1 lefty, 9.64 ERA, 0-2 this year. He's made 8 appearances, 14 innings, 16 hits, 15 earned runs, 18 strikeouts to 10 walks. Sits 87, 90, mid 70s, can get up to late 70s curveball, and also has an upper 70s to low 80s changeup with that. But I mean, you're reading these ERAs off. Florida better have a field day this weekend. They got to get the
Oof.
bats going.
You would hope, man. You would hope. Um, I don't know, Chris. Not much to say, really. Some people always ask us on X, what else can Sully do? I think Sully
Nothing.
has done everything he can do. You know, um, I made a comment with Neil that we did this post game thing on Sunday, I believe it was. This is not like football where you have like, 50, 60 guys on this team. Like football has a 90-man roster that usually when a team is struggling really bad, it's always the decision, well, let's just scrap it, bench the veteran guys, let's play the freshmen, right? That's always a big mantra in
But
football when teams
freshman.
are going really bad, but we don't have none. Okay, we don't have that in baseball now more than ever, especially. And it's going to get even worse, Chris. It's going to get much worse when they cut down the roster sizes. Okay. Um, it just goes to show you that when you recruit from the portal, you better hit. Okay. You better hit in that portal because you don't have other players on your team. You don't have, a whole bunch of, young freshmen that are just sitting there redshirting or, waiting to play next year. They're not there. Um, and obviously, you would have seen Blake Brookins by now. I think he might be dealing with an injury that I heard maybe, but I've heard also other issues. Colt Myers. So those are two players that, played obviously a lot during the fall ball, played a lot in preseason, all of the scrimmages. Uh, you would have definitely have seen them by now.
For
So
sure.
obviously they're dealing with some issues that they're probably not going to play at all this year. Take a red shirt. Um, and the way things are, maybe one or both of them go into the transfer portal. I have no idea what the situation is. I'm just saying what's, all the options that are out there. But you're definitely not going to see them play it, that's for sure. So when you think about it, you throw in the injuries to Curlin, the injuries to Jones. This team is very thin, Chris. Very, very thin right now. And it's ironic because my God, did we brag about the depth of this ball club. Everybody was. All the, beat writers for the team were talking about the depth of the ball club. But when stuff like this happens, two players dealing with issues that are not going to play probably, obviously, and then two players dealing with season-ending injuries. You got, Menendez season-ending injury, Pierce Capola, although nothing's official, obviously, they like to keep these things under wraps and stuff like that. But Pierce ain't coming back, Chris, obviously. Pierce is not going to come back, so you're dealing with him. Now we have Matthew Jenkins, who looked like he has some pretty good potential. I don't know if we're going to ever see him now this season again. I don't know. I haven't even heard what the situation is with him. Um, I'm sure it's probably some type of arm issue. Uh, you know, Before the games, all the pitchers, throw on the side of the field there. Uh, they all work on some pitches and stuff like that. So he doesn't even throw there no more. So until I see him start throwing there a little bit, even just a little soft toss, he's nowhere near pitching in a ball game again,
Hmm.
I would imagine. So this team's had a lot of injuries, man. A lot of injuries. And then a lot of poor performances to boot, you know, from players that you needed to produce. And that's why you have the season that you're having. Hopefully they could turn it around somehow this week. Like you said, they could feast on some of this bad pitching by Missouri, and get on a good run. Who do we play after Missouri? It's Mississippi State, right?
Hmm.
Another, ball club that's struggling, so maybe you could put together some wins together because it's going to get really tough towards the latter part of the SEC, right? Arkansas.
I think we play Missouri or Mississippi State next. I thought it was 9. Or yeah, to Georgia, got the Georgia series. Yeah, that's 9. So then you go on the road to Mississippi State, and then I think we welcome back Arkansas, if I'm
Hmm.
not mistaken.
So we'll see, man. If you ask me, yeah, I don't think that we make a regional, but I was proven wrong last year. We made it by the skin of our teeth.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I would rather take last year us losing more midweek games and getting more series
Getting
wins on
what?
the weekend. Getting more
Mm.
series wins on the weekend.
Oh my gosh, yeah. We haven't won an SEC game at home this year yet, Chris. That's nuts. That's crazy, man. That is crazy. But
It's crazy.
we'll
Predictions.
see. Predictions? Sweep. Gators sweep. I
Gotta
had
be.
to tell you Gators sweep, right? Because could have come with the Missouri sweep. But I'll go Gators sweep, man. I'll go
It,
Gators sweep.
all right, let's
Some
throw some
bad.
flavor. Let's throw some flavor in there. Gators sweep. How many run rules?
None.
I'm going 1 run rule.
You're going one? I'll go none.
Mm,
I like to see one, but I gotta see it to believe it. I
yeah,
gotta see it to believe it, Chris. So we'll see, man. But that's all I got, dude. That's all I got.
there's
Hopefully
nothing
they can give
else.
us something good to talk about, man.
Yeah,
I
no
won't
doubt.
get excited about this team again, Not that I get excited, but I won't start thinking about maybe regionals here unless they go on a real run here in these next 3 weeks. They gotta again. I mean, math becomes a problem, right? Eventually, you're gonna get to the point where you gotta say they gotta win every single game from this point out, right? Eventually, so math starts becoming an issue. So you gotta sweep this weekend. You gotta win 2 out of 3 against Mississippi State, and then you gotta take one, and you're gonna have to upset. Like an Arkansas, take 2 out of 3 from Arkansas, take 2 out of 3 from Texas. We play Texas also. So you're gonna have to upset one of those teams, not just win one. You're gonna have to win 2 out of 3, like at Texas.
Yeah,
I
because
think
you
we
took
go to
away. We got
Texas.
yeah, we got two Texas. We have
Yeah,
we
so
have Alabama at home.
so that's what you're gonna have to do, you know, with a pitching staff that all year has struggled to throw strikes. Now you're gonna have to go on the road in Texas in that environment. All people gonna be doing the hook 'em horns on you, and you have to have pitchers that could win 2 out of 3 games and throw some strikes. Let's see. Can they do it? Sure. You know,
Will
it
they?
sucks having to depend on stuff like this in back-to-back seasons, all right? But that's where we are, brother. At least we got it. At least we got a natty right here.
Yep.
Man, other fan bases are salty, Chris. They're salty, man.
Yeah, but going back towards baseball, people keep talking. Let's look. Oh, how many wins do we need to the regional? I'm saying look at this one game at a time. Worry about let's get a win. For the longest time, we didn't have a win in SEC play. We got to worry about getting a win. One makes it two, two makes it three, then we can start a streak. But seeing another win in SEC play is what we need to worry about more than let's seeing a regional at this point. I'm just flabbergasted by this
Well,
SEC play struggle we've had.
I mean, it's been so bad that Sully is excited about getting out there Thursday, just to get positive momentum going, because yesterday was such a big win for them that he wants to get out there as soon as possible. And he sees the Thursday, Friday, Saturday as being perfect. One quicker day that they could get back out on the field, and hopefully his team can get momentum. And you know, momentum's a crazy thing, man. Baseball's a crazy sport. It's a wonky sport, like I posted on X a couple days
I think
ago.
I think it's good this Thursday game is at home because the last time we went Tuesday to Thursday and we had to go still a travel day to Ole Miss. So now having this game at home can also be a little bit better,
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. You got to sweep this, obviously. So if they don't
Yep.
sweep this, it'll be real disappointing.
Yeah.
And they get revenge. Remember, we went to Missouri last year and they swept us. Remember? They swept us in Missouri last year. So you get a little revenge on Missouri last year.
Yeah.
But
No
anyways, man,
doubt.
wrap it up, brother. We're good.
Well, thank you guys in for listening. Again, on YouTube, keep sharing with others. Yes, it's a bad season, but keep sharing. We're gonna keep putting out some good content for you guys. Subscribe, share. Also on Spotify, hit that 5 stars. Leave us a comment. We're gonna keep posting for you guys. As always, go Gators.
Go Gators.